That man, Michael Brady, beat that man, George Midget, like he was trying to bust concrete.
I got your DNA at the murder scene. I got your DNA in the car.
So many lives destroyed by this, and it was just for nothing. I mean, there was no money in the safe. There was nothing in there. They did this for basically nothing.
This is the case of Marcus Lloyd, convicted of the tragic murder of a police officer in Orlando, Florida.
I'm facing a relationship, but somehow I have absolutely don't know nothing about, and they frame me.
He asserts being framed, but the events that unfolded paint a different picture. Lloyd was already a fugitive, having taken the life of his pregnant former girlfriend. Fast forward 1 month into the chase and he's spotted at a Walmart, casually strolling in. Moments later, Lieutenant Deborah Clayton arrives, unknowingly walking into danger. Outside the store, she is notified and Lieutenant Clayton attempts to arrest Lloyd, but it escalates into a deadly shootout. She's struck 4 times, losing her life in the line of duty. Lloyd flees once more, sparking a 9-day manhunt before he's captured, losing an eye during the altercation. In court, Lloyd offers a tale of paranoia, claiming everyone was out to get him.
And I was just reacting, Mary. I was just reacting. Even when they opened the door, I just reacted. I fired 2 shots, I just reacted.
But the jury sees through his story.
It really hurts deep down inside.
Here is Lieutenant Clayton's sister delivering a heart-wrenching statement.
She stood in the place as my mother when I didn't have one. I truly miss my sister. I truly miss her.
And this is the moment Lloyd finds that the jury unanimously recommends the death sentence.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Markeith Lloyd, should be sentenced to death.
Lloyd appears to be mumbling words in public and he loses it a few moments later.
You've been trying to kill me. You've been trying to frame me for murder.
All right, why don't we remove Mr. Lloyd from the courtroom?
He is quickly howled out of the courtroom after his outburst. The judge, in agreement with the jury, sentences Lloyd to death. Now he sits behind bars, awaiting his fate. Meet Michael Brady, the man behind a horrific prison escape attempt that resulted in the tragic deaths of 4 prison workers at Pasco Tank Correctional Institution in North Carolina.
I stabbed him like 4 to 8 times. I hit Jeffrey Howe until he stopped moving. I don't know how many times I hit him with a hammer.
This wasn't Brady's first encounter with violence. He was already serving a 24-year sentence for attempting to murder a North Carolina state trooper. 4 years into his sentence, Brady, alongside 3 other inmates, ruthlessly murdered 4 prison workers using hammers and scissors.
That man, Michael Brady, beat that man, George Midget, like he was trying to bust concrete.
Despite his efforts to escape by hopping a fence, Brady was soon captured at gunpoint.
It was like a bloodbath. I stepped in between Jeffrey and Wendy and I slid trying to get in because the whole elevator floor was nothing but blood.
During the trial, prosecutors argued that Brady was the mastermind behind the attack and showed no remorse for the killings.
We know who originated the plan. We know who led the plan.
With the overwhelming evidence against him, Brady took the stand during his sentencing.
I'm up here to tell the truth. You can ask me anything you want. I'm going to tell the truth. Whether it hurts me, whether it helps me. I don't care about that.
You don't believe you're crazy, do you?
No, I don't think I'm crazy, no.
And you do know the difference between right and wrong?
Yes.
So you know murder is wrong?
Murder is a different name for a death, but yes.
Your freedom meant more than their lives.
Yes.
Now the jury's recommendations are read aloud by the judge.
The jury unanimously recommended that the defendant be sentenced to death.
Brady remained emotionless as the judge announced the death penalty. Now confined in Colorado, he awaits his inevitable fate behind bars. Meet Martez Abram, found guilty of 2 counts of murder for the tragic deaths of 2 Walmart employees in South Haven, Mississippi. Abram, a former Walmart employee, faced suspension for carrying a knife while at work. On the day of his suspension, he returned to the store armed with multiple weapons and opened fire, fatally shooting store managers Anthony Brown and Brandon Gales. He also started a fire in the store using a gallon jug of gasoline.
He was laying on the ground with his eyes open, and I ran up to him and I looked at him. I said, Anthony, honey, please say KC one more time.
He also shot at an officer who thankfully survived due to his vest.
Once I got out of my vehicle, I heard gunshots and I felt the pressure of the bullet hit my back.
Abram was seized at the scene, and in court, he confessed to all charges.
That's you, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
Look at it, please, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Gale is on the floor going down at this point, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, and that's you shooting him, right?
Yes.
Look at the screen, sir.
Yes.
That's you shooting him?
Yes.
And you admit that you shot him in cold blood?
Yes.
You shot him again, didn't you?
Yes.
After that, you went back to the toilet paper aisle, didn't you?
Yes.
One of the victim's spouses gave an emotional impact statement during the trial.
You took Anthony from me on the exact day, 20 years earlier, that we had our first date.
It's now up to the judge to determine Abram's fate.
In count 1, I will sentence you to death. Count 2, you will be sentenced to death. In count 3, you will be sentenced to life in the penitentiary.
Upon hearing his death sentences, Abram remained silent, his expression betraying no emotion. He now awaits his execution on death row. Meet Nico Jenkins, a man convicted of committing 4 murders during a 10-day rampage in Omaha, Nebraska. At just 15 years old, Jenkins was sent to a youth correctional facility for carjacking and assault. After serving 10 years in prison, he was freed, only to embark on a deadly spree. He killed 2 individuals during a robbery less than 2 weeks after his release. The 2 victims were found shot in the head and their pockets turned inside out. His next victim, a former inmate he knew from prison, met his demise 8 days later in his own garage. 2 days after that, Jenkins committed his final murder during a carjacking, taking the life of an innocent woman and stealing her SUV. Although arrested for unrelated charges, police were able to tie Jenkins to one of the murders through the ammunition used.
Do you not realize I got Nico Jenkins? Do you not realize that? I got Nico Jenkins. I got you.
What do you mean you got me?
I got your DNA at the murder scene. I got your DNA in the car.
Sir.
I got the weapon. I got Nico Jenkins.
Jenkins decided against a jury trial in favor of a 3-judge panel that will decide his fate, admitting no contest to all 4 first-degree murder allegations.
Each one of these murders was a deliberate and planned act. The victims were pre-selected and the murders were purposeful.
Jenkins remained still and motionless after being found guilty of all 4 murders, and now the judges are delivering the verdict.
Therefore, this panel finds that the death penalty is appropriate, should be, and is hereby given for each of the 4 murders by the defendant.
Despite the death penalty verdict, Jenkins showed little reaction, remaining seemingly unaffected. He now resides in the Nebraska State Penitentiary awaiting execution. Meet Austin Myers and Timothy Mosley, both found guilty of killing 18-year-old Justin back in Waynesville, Ohio. The 2 young men, Myers and Mosley, aimed to rob a safe that belonged to Justin's father. Tragically, during the robbery, Justin was strangled using a choke wire.
The idea of strangling him, that way it would create no mess, pretty much be an easier job to handle. Obviously, Justin was trying to put up a fight, and he wasn't overpowering us.
Justin tried to fight back, but he was overwhelmed by the attack and stabbed 21 times.
He was trying to ask us why. He was pleading to stop and pretty much begging for his life.
Mosley, realizing the gravity of the situation, testified against Myers in exchange for a plea deal, landing himself a life sentence. Myers, in a bid to evade the death penalty, appealed to the jury, emphasizing the impact on his family if he were to be executed.
If you choose for me to die, it's only going to cause more pain and suffering for another family, not me. It won't hurt me. I won't feel anything. It's going to hurt more innocent people.
Justin's father addressed Myers directly during the trial.
I'm not going to stand up here and tell you how much I hate you. That is without question. I would just hope that every time you close your eyes at night, you see my son, Justin.
This is Myers' final opportunity to defend his life in front of the court after the jury recommended the death penalty.
I think there's a lot of good things I can do with my life if you allow me to keep my life.
Despite Myers' last effort to sway the judge, he receives the maximum sentence.
The defendant does not understand how precious life is. Therefore, the sentence of death shall be imposed upon Austin Gregory Myers on the charge of aggravated murder.
Myers merely nods in response. At just 19 years old, he became the youngest person in Ohio to face the death penalty. Now he awaits his fate in Chillicothe Correctional Institution.
There were so many lives destroyed by this, and it was just for nothing. I mean, there was no money in the safe. There was nothing in there. They did this for basically nothing.